turn that fear into curiosity, like use that fear to learn and to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Hi there and welcome to From Ideas to Results. I'm joined by Yumna from our paid team here at Sleeping Giant Media, and we're exploring all the things that are happening in the world of paid, driven a lot by AI. So the first topic we wanted to discuss today is Google AI Overview and AI Mode ads.
I hope we're all familiar with the Google ad, but essentially with AI Mode and AI Overviews, what these ads are going to end up looking like is they're going to appear, generally speaking, at the bottom of either of those two options, but they can appear at the top. I guess the main difference between them and a standard Google ad is that it not only takes into account the user's query, but also the output of the AI as well.
So it's trying to seamlessly blend the ad within the response so it doesn't sort of jar against
exactly that.
Yeah.
So the first example that comes to mind is, and it works for a few different ad formats, but particularly the one that comes to mind is for the shopping one. And so that one is, I think the query was something around, can you take a dog on a flight or something like that. And then the AI overview response was around, you kind of need to make sure it's got its own passport, etc., and that you can have kind of like carry-on bags. And then the Google ad was a shopping one, and it was like loads of things at the bottom, like, the shopping kind of results of like carry bags for the dog. And so it's based on, okay, the user's query is relevant, and then like the AI output is, oh, well, you need this, that, and the other. So the query wasn't about the carrier bag, but the response was.
So how does that work from a targeting perspective, in a sense of historically we would use keywords and we would say, these are the keywords we want to appear on?
Keywords are still very much a thing. They're not going anywhere, but there are going to be expansions in terms of targeting. So it is going to be about the signals that you put out there. So particularly from like an e-commerce standpoint, you want to make sure that your product descriptions are really detailed and they give perfect context really about the product, what it is, materials, etc., if that's relevant. And you also want to make sure that content on your website is really accurate as well. Essentially, you want to make sure that the content of your ads are really relevant too. So keywords are still going to be really important, but it is going to be based on kind of like intent. It's going to be based on, quite similar to like broad match in general, but it's going to be based on user intent. It's going to be based on user behavior, but also the output of the AI. And there will be keywords within that are also relevant and then kind of cause your ads to show. So there's loads of different signals going on, and it's all about making sure that essentially your website, your ads, products, are pretty much everything that you're putting out there has enough context for Google to be able to understand that and then also be like, hey, this is a really relevant time to show these ads and to do that.
Is it available now? When's it coming out?
In the US, it's already been running from 5 to 7 months, but it is now being released in the UK, but it is in beta, so not everyone's going to get it. It's going to be like a toggle option, quite similar to AI Max. And then, it's kind of like a slow progressive thing as we go, really.
Is there anything people need to do now to be ready for it?
So like we said already, those product descriptions, really, really important. Making sure that the content on your site is really relevant, because actually that's going to be a really big signal for Google overall. And also like it provides just that overall context. If you think quite similar to like entity SEO, like if you think about all the context we provide there, it's the same sort of thing. So making sure that your copies are really relevant, making sure that obviously the content on the website, like we said, but then also first party data within your accounts is really important. That's one of the strongest signals you can provide to Google, is to have your first party data in there. And then in terms of any other changes, they were saying around using more broad match. So what they were saying is tidying up our keyword targeting lists. But when we say that, we're not talking about like having fewer keywords, but what we are talking about is moving away from having the same keyword in different variations, and rather than having loads of phrase match ones, moving more towards broad, because ultimately that is what's going to give most data. It's going to consolidate it together rather than segmenting your data across loads of different like kind of ad groups, etc.
I wonder if it's almost like putting use cases on your landing page will also then help AI with context. This sort of dog carrier will be perfect for train and plane travel with your pet.
I mean, if you think about how we've been changing our approach to SEO, particularly with these AI overviews and AI mode in mind, it's kind of similar for paid too. Like ultimately, it's not really, oh, this is an organic thing, this is a paid thing now. It's kind of both. By preparing your website in general, like to make sure that you're fitting all this criteria, it also helps from an ad perspective as well.
Historically, we used to have just sort of dedicated paid search landing pages versus SEO pages. What's the sort of view now? Is it still valuable to do paid pages, do you think?
I think it's still really relevant to have PPC like landing pages, particularly if you think about from an organic standpoint. There are pages that have got loads and loads of content, which is really relevant from an organic standpoint. But actually, when it's paid, it's usually closer to the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah.
So actually you're impeding your user journey really by making them read all this content before they get to the form, for example. That context is still on the website, and so actually it's still going to help overall. But having a PPC specific landing page, it's going to send the right signals for that ad, provided that obviously your ad content and your landing page line up really well.
Right, so moving on, topic number 2, we've got Meta Andromeda and machine learning at scale.
This is a really exciting one. So it's to do with the ad retrieval engine. So it's now like an AI powered ad retrieval engine called Andromeda. Very pretty. Essentially means moving away from kind of like our standard targeting kind of criteria. So like, like we've used interest for a really long time, that kind of thing. And moving away from that and now being more creative led. Quite similar to Google, Meta has been really keen on those machine learning features. So things like Advantage Plus creative like features, like you can put overlays on images, change the backgrounds of like catalog products and stuff, change your copy based on what it thinks the user will, like all these different things. And then like the different campaign types and the Advantage Plus audience stuff too. It's been for a long time moving away from that segmented kind of interest targeting already. What they're moving away from is now, eventually I think they're going to sunset like interest audiences mostly anyway, and you can only use Advantage Plus audiences, where the interest that you input will be more of a suggestion.
Guide.
Yep. It's going to be less about segmenting campaigns and having those really detailed and like specific audiences, and instead about consolidating all your campaigns together and being really led by creative excellence, essentially. They're suggesting between 8 to 15 different creatives, and like strikingly different, not like we've changed the text from the top to the bottom in each campaign. It's going to be a case of consolidating, very similar to what we kind of had with Google, like, maybe about last year, consolidating your campaigns together, keeping the data like less segmented, but having more creative variations. And so rather than looking, when you're reporting, looking at all those different like kind of breakdowns of different audiences and stuff, instead looking at overall performance and also creative performance too. Really focusing on not having creative fatigue.
And then leaning into this AI-driven paid strategy is kind of something we actually got to now embrace.
I really, really do. As someone who literally does this stuff every single day, I understand there is a certain comfort in knowing that, okay, well, I'm the person that controls this. Like, we can put this in here, we can put that in there, that will make an impact. The reality of that is that isn't true anymore. And so I guess the biggest thing about it is the longer you wait to do these things, the further behind you are going to be when you have to use these things.
And in the world of AI, it moves pretty fast, so you're quite far behind quite quickly.
I would never say, just leave everything to AI at all, because I do think it absolutely needs human intervention, and it's something we believe.
Taking that, what controls do you still have, and what does, as the human, should you do in this sort of this management process?
A really big question. We still have that wider strategic thinking that we can employ in accounts anyway, right? We can think, okay, well, we need to have campaigns based on this theme, etc. We still have control over copies. Like, granted, AI might pick which copies it wants to kind of show, for example. So there are things like that, the creatives that you input into the account, the signals that you're providing it, the signals are so important. It's one of the biggest things that you can do. Websites without high quality creatives will suffer. And actually their ads might show as a result of that. And it extends to also their campaigns too, which is why creative is such a big deal. We have massive control there because we're picking which creatives to show. We can choose what we want to turn on, turn off. We can choose which of the machine learning features we want to be using.
So still lots of controls out there that we can kind of, levers that we can pull around that performance. They're just going to change quite dramatically from what we were potentially used to. Wow. There is a lot going on in the world of paid. Super exciting stuff though. I mean, I think there's some really good features there that I know there's some people will fear that change, but it sounds like it's some really, really good opportunities to kind of potentially get ahead and find that way to kind of optimize as well.
Turn that fear into curiosity, like use that fear to learn and to figure out what works and what doesn't, because actually that's when you'll have more control.
Be curious, there we go. I hope you found that of use. Do check out our social, we've got loads more of this. 2026 is going to be a year of so much change in the world of digital marketing. So if you want to stay ahead, do check out our content on our socials and our website, and we'll see you again next time.